The old man's weathered hands traced the worn leather of the lariat, fingers finding grooves carved by 60 years of memory. Outside the bunkhouse window, snow fell soft against Wyoming darkness. December 1943. The young cowboy across from him shifted, waiting. "You asked how long I've been a cowboy," Sammy Garrett said, voice like gravel smoothed by water. "All my life, son. Learned from my pa. And pa learned it the hard way, back when learning could kill you." The boy leaned forward, firelight catching his eager face. "But cowboys don't have families. They drift." "That's the story I'm gonna tell you." Sammy held up the lariat, let it catch the light. "About the winter 60 years ago when I was 6, when I thought I'd lose my pa, when I learned you could be a cowboy and have a family. But Lord, it wasn't easy. Wasn't easy at all." He closed his eyes. The bunkhouse faded, and he was 6 years old again, watching a stranger ride toward him through the snow. Cole Garrett looked like something carved from stone in silence. 6'2" of sun-darkened leather and trail dust, beard thick enough to hide whatever lay beneath. When he swung down from the Appaloosa, every movement spoke of months in the saddle. 8 months, to be exact. 8 months trailing cattle from Montana to the railhead in Cheyenne. The homestead waited small and weathered at the edge of Bitter Creek. Not his homestead, never his, just the place where he'd left 3 sons with an old woman who had taken pity on them. 3 boys played in the yard, their breath fogging the December air. They stopped when they saw him, froze like deer catching scent of something they half remembered. "Pa," the oldest said, not warm, not cold, just a fact stated plain. Cole's throat tightened. Luke, 12 years old now, taller, face harder, eyes that had seen too much carried in those small shoulders. The middle boy looked down at his boots. Danny, 8, silent as winter stones. Had the boy spoken at all since Cole left? The youngest hesitated, then ran. Halfway to Cole, Sammy stopped. 6 years old, and already learning that fathers who leave might not stay long enough to hold. Cole knelt in the dirt, arms open, waiting, hoping. Sammy closed the distance carefully, like approaching a half-wild thing. "You came back." "Always do, son." "Danny said you wouldn't, said maybe you died on the trail." The words hit harder than any thrown punch. Cole pulled his youngest close, breathed in the smell of him, soap and wood smoke and something sweet. Life continuing in his absence. Luke approached, formal as a banker. "How long you staying this time?" "Long as I can. Got winter to get through." "Mrs. Henderson needs the money you bring. She's sick, coughing bad." Cole stood, one hand still on Sammy's shoulder. "I got money. 6 months' wages." 6 months? Luke's voice carried an edge sharp enough to draw blood. 6 months you were gone. We didn't know if you were dead or alive. No letters. No word. Just gone. The door opened. Sarah Henderson stood framed in weak lamplight, a woman who'd been old when Cole first knew her, now ancient beyond her 65 years. The cough that racked her thin frame spoke of winters she wouldn't see. "Cole Garrett, welcome back." No judgment in her voice, just tired acceptance. He crossed to her, pressed folded bills into her hand. $120, everything he'd managed to save after trail expenses. "For their keep and your trouble." She counted it slowly, lips moving. "This is generous. But Cole, we need to talk, inside. Boys, go check the chickens." The tone left no room for argument. Luke herded his brothers away, but not before Cole caught the look in his oldest son's eyes. Fear, anger, resignation all mixed together like bad whiskey. Inside, the homestead smelled of poverty trying its best. Thin soup, mended clothes. The particular desperation of stretching nothing into something just one more day. Mrs. Henderson eased into her chair like it hurt to bend. Probably did. "I can't do this anymore." Cole felt the floor tilt. "Ma'am? I'm dying. Consumption. Doctor says 6 months, maybe less. I can't care for 3 growing boys when I can barely care for myself." She coughed, harsh and wet. "Judge Thornton came last week. Talked about the boys, about what's best for them." "What's that supposed to mean?" "The orphanage in Casper says they'd have proper schooling, regular meals, supervision." She held up a hand against his protest. I told him no, but Cole, honest truth, would it be worse? You gone 8 months a year, me old and sick. These boys eating porridge twice daily because that's all we can afford. Luke's boots have holes. Danny's coat don't fit. Sammy ain't seen a doctor all fall despite those head colds. Cole's hands clenched. They need their father. And they need a father who's here. Her voice softened. I know it ain't your fault. Cowboys work where the work is. Trail drives don't wait. But knowing that and living it, those are different things. Through the window, Cole watched his sons. Luke stood apart from his brothers, scanning the horizon like a man waiting for the next disaster. Danny crouched in the dirt, drawing patterns with a stick. Sammy tried to make them laugh, got nothing back. When's the judge coming back? February 10th, court hearing. He's filing for custody. Says if you can't prove you can provide stable home, boys go to Casper. February 10th, 7 weeks. Might as well be 7 minutes for all the chance he had. I'll find work. Stay local through winter. Mrs. Henderson's expression said everything her silence didn't. Winter work paid $20 a month if a man was lucky. 3 boys ate more than that, and luck had never been Cole's strong suit. He went outside. The boys stood in a line like soldiers awaiting orders. We stayin'? Sammy asked, voice small. For now. What's for now mean? Luke's jaw set hard. Week, month, till spring when you drift again? Luke, when Mama died, Pa wasn't here. Luke's voice stayed level, but his hands shook. Mrs. Henderson sent telegram. Took 6 weeks for Pa to come home. Funeral was already done. We buried Mama without you. 42 days we waited. Danny cried every night. Sammy asked when you were coming every single day. 42 days, Pa. The air went out of Cole's lungs. I didn't know about the telegram. Boss didn't tell me till the drive finished. If I'd known, but you didn't know because you weren't here. You're never here. Danny looked up from his dirt drawings. For the first time in months, maybe, the boy spoke. We thought you forgot about us. 3 words, simple, devastating, more painful than any beating Cole had ever taken. I could never forget you boys, but you leave us. Sammy's eyes filled with tears he tried hard not to shed. Every time you leave. Cole had no answer that wouldn't be a lie. 4 days later, December 24th, Cole loaded 3 boys into a borrowed wagon and pointed it toward Bitter Creek. Christmas Eve. He'd make this one count. Buy presents, supplies, show them things could be different. The general store smelled of pinay and possibility. Cole counted his remaining money. $40. Had to last till spring somehow. Flour, beans, salt pork. The basics. $8. Small carved toys for the boys. $3. Fabric for Mrs. Henderson, who'd mended their clothes so many times the patches had patches. $2. $13 spent. 27 remained. The weight of it in his pocket felt like judgment. The store owner watched with sympathetic eyes. Heard Judge Thornton's making trouble for you. Not trouble, just doing what he thinks right. Heard you're looking for work. Nothing here, Cole. Winter's dead. I'll find something. The door opened on a blast of cold air, and the man himself, Judge Ezekiel Thornton at 62, carried authority like some men carried guns. Every inch the territorial judge, from his pressed suit to his calculating eyes. Mr. Garrett, back from the trail? Judge, how long you planning to stay this time? Week, month, before you drift again? Cole's jaw tightened. I don't drift, I work. You drift, cowboys drift. That's their nature. And children need stability, not a father who shows up twice yearly with pockets full of guilt money. The boys had followed Cole in. Now they stood frozen, hearing every word. Thornton's voice dropped, almost kind. I filed the petition, Cole. Hearings February 10th. If you can't prove you can provide a stable home, those boys go to the territorial orphanage. Education, regular meals, real future. He paused. They deserve better than waiting for a ghost. I'm their father. Being a father is more than blood. It's being present, something you've never managed. Thornton tipped his hat. Merry Christmas, boys. See you all in court. He left. The store's warmth couldn't touch the cold that settled in Cole's chest. Luke's voice came quiet. Is the judge right, Pa? Are we better off without you? Before Cole could answer, the sky opened up. Snow fell soft at first, pretty even, the kind that made children laugh and stick out tongues. By the time they'd loaded the wagon and started back, it fell in sheets. Storm's coming fast, Cole said, more to himself than the boys. We need to hurry. But the storm had ideas of its own. Within an hour, the world went white. Wind howled like something dying. The borrowed horse fought the traces, panicking in the whiteout. Cole tried to calm the animal, but fear was contagious. The wagon lurched. The wheel caught something hidden beneath fresh snow, a ravine edge, invisible until too late. The crack of breaking wood split the air like a gunshot. Everything tilted. Supplies scattered. The boys cried out. Cole felt the moment hang suspended, that instant before disaster completes itself. Then they were falling. Cole hit frozen ground hard enough to taste blood. His shoulder screamed, something wrong deep in the joint. Above him, above the wind, he heard his sons calling. Everyone out! His voice barely carried. Now, careful! They climbed down, Danny and Sammy half falling in their panic. Luke kept his feet, helped his brothers. The boy moved like someone twice his age, competent in crisis. Too competent. No child should be that good at catastrophe. Cole circled the wagon, already knowing. The axle had cracked clean through. Split wood, bent iron, unfixable without tools and shelter they didn't have. 15 miles from town. Maybe 12 from Mrs. Henderson's. Temperature dropping fast, wind cutting through their coats like they were made of nothing. Can you fix it? Sammy's voice barely rose above the storm. Cole looked at his youngest son, lips already going blue. Body shivering hard enough his teeth clicked together. No, I can't fix it. Then what do we do? Luke stepped closer, trying hard not to sound scared. Pa, what do we do? Everything in Cole wanted to have an answer, some brilliant plan, the solution that would save them all. But he was just a cowboy who knew cattle and horses and living rough. This storm would kill them in hours if they stayed here. We walk. Walk where? There's nothing out here. We find shelter or we die trying. Those are our choices. Too harsh. He heard it even as the words left him. But softness wouldn't save them now. He grabbed Luke's hand, then Danny's, lifted Sammy against his chest, his shoulder screaming protest. The boy's shivers came in waves, violent and visible. We stayed together. Don't let go. Nothing makes you let go. Understand? 3 boys nodded. They stepped into white death. Every step was a battle. Snow knee-deep, thigh-deep in the drifts. Cole half-carried, half-dragged Sammy through the worst of it. His shoulder burned hot wire from joint to spine. Talk to me, Luke, he said through gritted teeth. Keep your brothers awake. Luke was quiet for a moment, then, remember when Mama made that apple pie? The one that burned on the bottom? She cried, Danny whispered. First words in days. She cried because it was Pa's birthday, and she ruined it. She didn't ruin anything. Cole's voice came rough. That was the best pie I ever had. You ate 3 pieces. Luke's voice carried something almost like a smile. Even the burned parts. Mama laughed so hard she couldn't breathe. Mama had the best laugh, Sammy said against Cole's neck, voice getting weaker. I miss her laugh. Cole remembered. God, he remembered. Sarah bent over the kitchen table, tears streaming, laughing at herself for crying over a pie. Him eating every bite just to see her smile. 3 years ago, a lifetime ago, before the pregnancy that killed her, before the baby that died with her, before Cole stopped knowing how to be a father to the 3 sons who survived. Pa, Danny's small voice barely audible. Are we going to die? Cole should lie, should say something comforting. Not if I can help it. That ain't an answer. It's the only one I got. They pushed forward, one step, then another. Luke fell, went down hard in a drift that swallowed him to his chest. Cole hauled him up one-handed, Sammy still pressed to his chest. You hurt? No, sir. Then keep moving. Cruel, he knew it was cruel, but stopping meant dying, and Cole would drag his sons through hell itself before he let them die. Danny fell next. Snow filled his coat. His face went white, not from cold, but fear. I can't, Pa, I can't. Cole knelt in the snow, put his face close to his middle son's. You can. You're a Garrett. Your mama carried you inside her for 9 months, and she didn't quit. She brought you into this world screaming and fighting, and she didn't quit. You don't get to quit either. You hear me? Danny's eyes filled with tears that froze on his cheeks. I miss her, Pa. I know, I miss her too. Do you? Sometimes I think you forgot about her. You never talk about her anymore. You never say her name. It's like she never existed. The words hit like fists. Cole couldn't answer. Couldn't explain that saying Sarah's name felt like swallowing broken glass. That talking about her meant feeling things he'd spent 26 months trying not to feel. Get up. We'll talk about your mama later. Right now, we walk. They walked. Behind them, the wagon disappeared. Ahead, nothing but white sky, white ground, white death, waiting patient and certain. Pa, Sammy's voice was getting weaker. Pa, I'm sleepy. No, God, no. Stay awake, Sammy. But I'm tired. I know. Tell me something. Tell me what you want for Christmas. Christmas? The boy's small body shuddered against Cole's chest. I forgot it was Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. Tomorrow's Christmas Day. What do you want? Tell me. I want... Sammy's eyes fluttered. I want Mama to come back. Cole's throat closed completely. Mama can't come back, son. I know. Sammy's arms tightened around Cole's neck, weak and getting weaker. Then I want us to be happy again. Like before Mama went to heaven. We were happy then, weren't we, Pa? Yeah, we were happy. Are we ever going to be happy again? Cole had no answer. He'd been asking himself that question for 26 months. Still didn't know. Pa, look. Luke's voice, sharp, excited. Cole squinted through the snow. Wind burned his eyes. Ice formed on his lashes. At first, nothing. Just white on white on white. Then he saw it. A light. Faint. Golden. Half a mile distant. Maybe less. I see it too, Danny breathed. Pa, I see it. One could be real. Could be their eyes playing tricks. Could be death calling them home. Could be their only chance. That way. Stay close. They walked toward the light. Cole's legs burned. His shoulders screamed. His lungs felt like they were full of ice. But he kept moving, kept putting one foot in front of the other. How far had they come? How long had they walked? Time lost meaning in the white. The light grew stronger. Not a mirage. Real. Solid. A cabin materialized from the storm. Small but sturdy, built low to the ground against Wyoming winds. Smoke rising from the chimney. And in the window, that lamp burning golden and warm. Light in the window means nobody rides past. Frontier law. Unwritten but sacred. You see that light? You know there's shelter. You know there's welcome. You know someone inside understands that next time it might be them out in the storm. Cole stumbled up to the door, raised his fist to knock. The door opened before he could. A woman stood there, backlit by firelight. Mid-30s, auburn hair pulled back in a practical bun, work-worn hands and eyes that assessed everything in a single glance. She looked at Cole, at the boys, at Sammy's blue lips and Danny's white face and Luke's frozen tears. Get inside. Her voice was command, not request. All of you, now. She pulled them in, slammed the door against the wind. The warmth hit Cole like a wall. His knees buckled. He caught himself on a chair. Sit, the woman pointed, before you fall. Ma'am, we don't want to. Sit. Cole sat. The woman moved fast, no wasted motion. Quilts appeared from a chest. Heavy wool wrapped around each boy. The fire roared higher. Water heated. Coffee went on the stove. She knelt in front of Sammy, checked his fingers, his toes, his ears. Frostbite starting on the ears. Caught it in time. She looked up at Cole. That shoulder needs attention. I'm fine. You're not, but the boy first. She worked on Sammy with gentle hands, warming him slowly, carefully rubbing circulation back into his small fingers. You're trained, Cole said. Nurse, long time ago. She didn't look up from Sammy's hands. What brings you out in this? Wagon broke, 15 miles from anywhere. Lucky you saw my light. Luckiest day of my life, ma'am. She glanced at him, something flickering in her eyes. We'll see about that. First, let's make sure these boys don't lose any pieces to the cold. Luke watched her with suspicious eyes. Where's your husband? Luke, Cole's voice was sharp. Mind your manners. It's all right. The woman stood. Typhoid. 4 years ago. I'm sorry, Danny said softly. We know about that. Losing someone. The woman looked at him. Something passed across her face, recognition of one wounded creature, seeing another. Your mama? Danny nodded. How long? 26 months, Luke answered. 26 months and 12 days. And the woman's eyes moved to Cole. He looked away, couldn't hold that gaze, couldn't let her see what was underneath. I'll make supper, she said. Then we'll tend that shoulder. She moved to the stove, started pulling out ingredients, potatoes, carrots, dried beef. Simple food, but she prepared it with care, with attention. The boys watched her like she was something miraculous. What's your name? Sammy's voice, small but curious, color coming back to his cheeks. The woman turned. Her face softened. Margaret, most folks call me Rose. I'm Sammy, that's Danny, that's Luke, that's P. Cole Garrett, Cole said. We're grateful, Miss Rose. More than I can say. Just Rose. And gratitude ain't necessary for following frontier law. She went back to cooking. You'd do the same. Cole's eyes moved around the cabin, small but clean, well organized. A woman's touch everywhere, but something missing too. Something absent. No children's things. No toys. No small clothes. No cradle. No evidence that children had ever lived here. On a shelf by the window, 5 carved birds. Each one different. Each one beautiful. Hours of work in every feather. On the wall, a wedding photograph. Rose and a bearded man, both young, both smiling, his hand on her shoulder, her hand covering his. Cole understood loneliness, had lived with it since Sarah died. But Rose had lived with it longer. 4 years in this cabin, 4 winters, 4 springs, 4 summers, 4 autumns, all alone. He wondered how she survived it, wondered if she really had. Supper was the best meal the boys had eaten in months. Cole knew because he watched their faces, watched the surprise, the pleasure, the way they slowed down to savor instead of just swallowing to survive. He'd been burning everything since Sarah died. Couldn't focus. Couldn't care. Food was fuel, nothing more. Something to keep them alive until what? He'd never figured that part out. This is real good, Miss Rose. Luke's voice was soft, almost shy. Thank you. You're welcome. Rose passed more bread around. Your mama must have been a fine cook. The best. Sammy nodded. She made apple pie. Even when she burned it, Pa ate 3 pieces. Because it was made with love. Rose's voice was quiet. That's the secret ingredient in everything. After supper, the boys explored while Rose washed dishes. Danny found the carved birds on the windowsill, picked one up, turned it over in his hands. Did you make these? Winter projects. Gets lonely out here. Needed something to do with my hands. They're beautiful. Danny's voice had more life in it than Cole had heard in months. Can you teach me? Rose turned, looked at the boy. Something broke open in her face for just a moment before she controlled it. Maybe, if your pa says it's all right. Danny looked at Cole, hopeful, in a way he hadn't been alive since Sarah's funeral. Fine by me, Cole said, and meant it. Sammy wandered to a small chest in the corner. He opened it before anyone could stop him. Miss Rose, what are these? Cole saw Rose's face go pale. He stood, walked over, looked into the chest. Baby clothes, tiny gowns, small shirts, knitted blankets, all carefully made, all never used. Sammy, Cole's voice was gentle. Close that. It ain't yours to look through. But they're so little. Are they for a baby? Do you have a baby, Miss Rose? The silence stretched too long. Rose crossed the room, knelt beside Sammy. Her hands shook slightly as she touched the small clothes. I made these a long time ago. When I hoped. She stopped. Couldn't finish. When you hoped you'd have a baby, Sammy said. Like Mama hoped for our baby sister. Yes, like that. What happened? Sammy, that's enough. Cole reached for his son. It's all right. Rose looked up at Cole. Her eyes were wet, but she wasn't crying, refusing to cry. He should know. Children should know the truth. She closed the chest, stood up. My body couldn't make babies. Simple as that. Doctors told me when I was young. I didn't believe them. Kept hoping. Kept making clothes. Kept waiting, but she shrugged. Some things ain't meant to be. Sammy reached out, took her hand. That's real sad, Miss Rose. You'd be a good mama, I can tell. Rose's control cracked. A single tear escaped. She wiped it away fast, angry at herself for showing weakness. Thank you, Sammy. That's kind of you to say. It ain't kind. It's true, ain't it, Pa? Cole couldn't answer. Couldn't answer because, looking at Rose with his son's hand in hers, he felt something stir in his chest. Something he'd thought died with Sarah. And that terrified him more than the blizzard ever had. Night fell hard. The storm still raged outside, but inside the cabin was warm, safe, quiet. Rose announced sleeping arrangements. Boys in her bed, Cole by the fire for his shoulder. She'd take the loft. Stay? Sammy looked up at her with those big eyes. Just till I fall asleep? Rose glanced at Cole. He nodded. What harm could it do? Scoot over, she said, and the boys made room. All three climbed into the bed, arranged themselves around her like planets around the sun. Not quite touching, but close. So close. Rose began to sing. Soft, low, an old hymn. Cole recognized it. Sarah used to sing that song, used to hum it while she worked, used to sing it to the boys at bedtime. His throat closed, his eyes burned. He turned to the fire, couldn't watch, couldn't bear seeing his dead wife's song in this living woman's mouth. But he couldn't stop listening either. The singing continued, gentle and sure. One by one, the boys' breathing deepened, slowed, steadied. Sleep, real sleep. The first peaceful sleep they'd had in 2 years. Because of her. Cole heard Rose climb down from the bed, heard her soft footsteps crossing to the loft ladder. Miss Rose, Luke's voice. Cole thought the boy was asleep. Yes? Thank you for saving us for everything. A pause, then. You're welcome, Luke. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Cole heard her climb the ladder, heard the loft floor creak as she settled. Then silence. Just the wind outside and the fire crackling and his son's breathing, peaceful for the first time in too long. Cole lay in the chair by the fire and stared at the ceiling and tried not to think about the woman in the loft. She was a stranger. A kind stranger who'd saved their lives, but still a stranger. And yet his boys had smiled tonight, had laughed, had talked about Sarah without that terrible frozen silence that usually followed her name. Danny had spoken more words tonight than he had in a month. Sammy had held Rose's hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. Luke had said thank you and meant it in a way Cole hadn't heard him mean anything in 26 months. And Cole had felt something. Something warm. Something dangerous. Something he'd sworn he'd never feel again. Because feeling meant losing, and losing meant pain, and he couldn't survive any more pain. Stop it, he told himself. She's just being kind. It's Christmas. It's frontier law. It doesn't mean anything. But even as he thought it, he knew he was lying. Because the way Rose looked at his sons wasn't just kindness. It was hunger. It was longing. It was a woman who'd made baby clothes for children she'd never have. Finally getting to hold someone else's children and finding that it filled a hole she'd been carrying for years. And the way his sons looked at her, don't, Cole told himself. Don't even think it. Sarah's been dead 26 months. You don't get to want things. You don't get to hope. You just serve it, that's all. You just survive. The fire burned low. Cole closed his eyes. Tomorrow the storm would clear. Tomorrow he'd have to make decisions. Tomorrow everything would be different. But tonight, for just tonight, his sons were safe, fed, warm, sleeping peacefully in a stranger's bed while that stranger gave up her own comfort for theirs. Tomorrow could wait. Tonight was enough. Outside, the storm raged on. Inside, 5 people who'd been strangers that morning slept under one roof. 3 boys who'd forgotten what safety felt like. 1 man who'd forgotten how to feel anything at all. and one woman who'd spent 4 years carving wooden birds because talking to herself was better than the silence. The lamp in the window burned steady through the night, a beacon, a promise, a light in the darkness for anyone who might need saving. Frontier law. And sometimes, just sometimes, the people who needed saving most were the ones who stopped inside to get warm. Morning came with silence, the kind of silence that follows storms, when the world holds its breath and waits to see what survived the night. Cole woke to the smell of coffee and something frying, real bacon. He couldn't remember the last time he'd smelled bacon that wasn't burned black or so undercooked it was still squealing. He sat up carefully. His shoulder ached, but the sharp pain had dulled to something bearable. Rose's bandaging had held through the night. The boys were still asleep, all three tangled together in Rose's bed like puppies in a pile. Peaceful, safe. He watched them for a long moment, tried to remember the last time they'd slept like that. Couldn't. Coffee's ready. Rose's voice, quiet so as not to wake the children. Cole turned. She stood by the stove, hair still pulled back, same practical dress, but something different in her face this morning. Something guarded that hadn't been there last night. She'd been crying. He could see it in her red-rimmed eyes, the puffiness around them. And now she was building walls. He understood. He'd built his own walls high enough. Thank you. He took the cup she offered. Their fingers didn't touch. Both careful. Both knowing something had shifted in the night. Storms passed. Rose looked at the window. Sky's clearing. You should be able to get to town by afternoon if you leave soon. There it was, the dismissal wrapped in practicality. She was pushing them out before they could leave on their own, protecting herself. About last night, Cole started. Nothing happened last night. Her voice was firm. You needed shelter. I had shelter, that's all. That ain't what I meant. I know what you meant, and I'm telling you, it don't matter. You got boys to raise, a life to get back to, and I got my own life here, such as it is. Cole wanted to argue, wanted to say something, but what? He barely knew this woman. One night didn't change anything. Couldn't change anything. Could it? Miss Rose, Sammy's voice, sleep rough and confused. Rose's face transformed. That guarded look melted into something soft and warm. Morning, little one. Hungry? Sammy nodded, climbed out of bed, walked straight to Rose and wrapped his arms around her waist like he'd been doing it his whole life. Cole's chest tightened. Rose froze for just a heartbeat. Then her hand came down gentle on Sammy's hair. Breakfast is almost ready. Go wake your brothers. Sammy ran back to the bed, started jumping on his brothers. Luke groaned. Danny threw a pillow. Normal sounds, happy sounds, sounds Cole hadn't heard in so long. They like you, Cole said, voice rough. Children like anyone who feeds them. That ain't true, and you know it. Rose turned back to the stove. Didn't answer. Breakfast was quiet but not uncomfortable. The boys ate everything Rose put in front of them, asked for seconds, got them. Luke kept watching Rose with those two old eyes, calculating, thinking. Cole knew that look. His eldest was working something out in his head. Danny actually talked, about the carved birds, about wanting to learn, about maybe carving something for Mama's grave. She'd like that, Cole said, a bird for her headstone. Miss Rose could teach me, couldn't you, Miss Rose? The silence stretched. We're leaving today, Danny. Cole's voice was gentle but firm. Soon as I can get help with the wagon. Miss Rose has got her own life to live. But no buts. Danny's face crumpled just for a second. Then he smoothed it out, swallowed whatever he was feeling, went back to eating. Cole hated himself for putting that look on his son's face. But what choice did he have? They couldn't stay here. This wasn't their home. Rose wasn't anything to them, wasn't she? After breakfast, Cole pulled on his coat. His shoulder protested but held. Rose watched him struggle with the buttons, didn't offer to help. That wall was up solid now. Boys, mind Miss Rose while I'm gone. Luke, you're in charge. Yes, sir. I mean it. Best behavior. Pa, Luke's voice was serious. I know. Cole nodded, looked at Rose one last time, wanted to say something. Thank you. I'm sorry. I heard you crying. I understand. I'll be back before dark. he said instead. Outside, the world was white and clean and cold. Beautiful, even. Hard to believe last night's storm had almost killed them. Cole walked toward town, each step taking him further from the cabin, from Rose, from whatever had started to form there in the firelight. This is right, he told himself. This is how it has to be. But his feet felt heavy and his chest felt hollow. And somewhere behind him, his sons were laughing at something Rose said. He didn't look back. Back in the cabin, Rose tried to keep busy. Dishes, sweeping, anything to avoid thinking about how quiet the place would be once they left. Sammy followed her everywhere like a duckling following its mother. "Miss Rose, what's this?" "That's dried sage for cooking." "What's this?" "Lavender for making things smell nice." "What's this?" "Sammy," Luke's voice was sharp, "stop pestering her." "He ain't pestering," Rose surprised herself with the words. "I don't mind questions. Been a long time since anyone asked me anything." Sammy beamed. "See, Luke? She likes me." "Everyone likes you. You're impossible not to like." Luke's voice held something almost like a smile. "Mama said that too. Said you were her sunshine boy." "She said I made everyone smile, even when they didn't want to." Sammy's voice went soft. "I miss making her smile." Rose's heart cracked open a little more. She knelt down to Sammy's level. "Your mama was right. You are a sunshine boy. Don't ever let anyone tell you different." "Miss Rose," Danny's quiet voice from across the room, "can you really teach me to carve?" Rose looked at him, this silent boy who'd barely spoken yesterday, now asking her for something, trusting her with something. "Come here." Danny crossed the room, sat beside her. Rose pulled out her carving tools. Simple things. A small knife, a piece of soft pine, sandpaper worn smooth from use. First rule of carving. She put the knife in his hand, adjusted his grip. You don't force the wood. You let it tell you what it wants to be. How does wood talk? With its grain, its knots, its soft spots, and hard spots. You feel it as you work. Let your hands listen. Danny's brow furrowed in concentration. He made a small cut, then another. "Like this?" "Exactly like that." Luke watched from across the room, arms crossed, that calculating look still on his face. "Miss Rose," his voice was careful, "how come you live out here alone?" "Luke?" Danny looked up. "That ain't polite." "I ain't trying to be polite. I'm trying to understand." Rose set down her own carving, looked at this boy who was trying so hard to be a man. "What do you want to understand?" "You're smart. You're trained. You could live anywhere. Why here? Why alone?" "Because this is where my husband's buried. Because I made a promise to stay. Even though you're lonely." "Luke," Danny's voice was sharper now. "It's all right." Rose held up a hand. "He's asking fair questions." She looked at Luke, really looked. "Yes, even though I'm lonely. Sometimes we keep promises even when they hurt, even when they stop making sense. Because a promise is a promise. And breaking it means letting go. And letting go means—" She couldn't finish. "Means admitting they're really gone," Luke said softly. "Means moving on. And moving on feels like betraying them." Rose stared at him, this 11-year-old boy who understood grief better than most grown men. "How do you know that?" "Because Pa's the same way. Won't move Mama's things. Won't say her name. Won't let any of us move on because he can't move on himself." "Luke," Danny put down his carving, "that ain't fair." "It's true, though. You know it's true. We've been living in a graveyard for 26 months. Eating burned food, wearing torn clothes, watching Pa disappear into himself more every day. And we're supposed to just accept it. Supposed to just wait until he decides to start living again. If he ever does." The words hung in the air. Angry, true, devastating. "Your Pa loves you," Rose said, voice gentle. "Any fool can see that." "Love ain't enough," Luke's voice cracked. "Mama loved us too, and she died anyway. And now it's like Pa's trying to die too, just slower, and he's taken us with him." Sammy started crying, silent tears streaming down his face. Rose gathered him up without thinking, held him against her chest, made soothing sounds. "It's not all right." Luke's voice was breaking now. "Nothing's been all right for 26 months. And I'm tired, Miss Rose. I'm so tired of pretending it's going to get better when it just keeps getting worse. Rose opened her arm, an invitation. Luke hesitated. 11 years old, trying to be a man, needing to be a child. He crossed the room, let her pull him close. Danny joined them without being asked. And there, in that small cabin, Rose held 3 boys who weren't hers and let them cry out grief they'd been swallowing for 26 months. Let them break. Let them bleed. Let them be children instead of little soldiers marching through a war they never signed up for. Outside, snow sparkled in the sun. Inside, something fundamental shifted. Something changed in a way that couldn't be unchanged. When the crying finally stopped, when the boys pulled back, wiping eyes and noses, Rose spoke. Your pa's coming back. And when he does, we're going to talk. All of us. About what happens next. What can happen? Luke asked. We can't stay here. Pa can't afford to feed us. Judge is going to take us. It's all decided. Nothing's decided until it's decided, Rose said. And sometimes the best decisions are the ones nobody expects. She stood, started preparing lunch. Her hands moved automatically, but her mind raced. An idea was forming. Crazy. Impossible. The kind of thing a reasonable person would never consider. Good thing she'd stopped being reasonable 4 years ago. Cole found help in town. Marshal Walter Proutout and 2 ranch hands came back with him, dragged the wagon out of the ravine, jury-rigged the axle with spare parts and prayer. It would hold long enough to get them back to Mrs. Henderson's. Maybe. The sun was setting when they made it back to Rose's cabin. Orange light painted the snow gold. Smoke curled from the chimney. Through the window, he could see his sons and Rose moving around inside. A picture of something that wasn't his but could have been, in another life, in another world. Miss Rose! Sammy saw him first, came running out into the cold without a coat. Sammy, get back inside before you freeze. But Pa, you came back. Course I came back. Said I would. The other boys appeared in the doorway. Behind them, Rose. Thank you, Marshal, she said. Cole boys, come eat before you go. It's the least I can do. It wasn't a request. They crowded into the cabin. The marshal tipped his hat and left. The ranch hands followed. And suddenly it was just the 5 of them again. Rose ladled out stew, simple but hot and good. They ate in silence, but it was a comfortable silence. The kind families share after a long day. When the bowls were empty and the boys were playing quietly in the corner, Rose caught Cole's eye, nodded toward the door. Outside, the cold bit hard, but the wind was gone. Stars began appearing in the darkening sky. Cole, Rose's breath fogged in the air. We need to talk. I know, and I'm grateful for everything, but we should marry me. The world stopped. Cole stared at her. What? Marry me, legally, officially, for the court. You can't be serious. Completely serious. Think about it. You need a stable home. I have this cabin. You need a female influence for the boys. I'm female. You need to prove you can provide. 2 incomes are better than 1. The boys need a mother. I need... Her voice caught. I need something. This is insane. This is practical. We don't even know each other. What do you need to know? You love your sons. You work hard. You're honest. What else matters? Cole's mind reeled. Everything. I'm a cowboy. I drift. I can't just settle. Then learn. For them. She pointed toward the cabin, where 3 boys waited. It's not fair to you. A marriage of convenience. Fair? Rose's laugh was bitter. Nothing about my life is fair. Husband died. No children. Alone 5 years. Drifting just like you drift. But maybe we can drift together. And when I have to trail again, spring drives start in April. Then I stay with the boys, be the mother they need, and you come back, because now you have a home to come back to. You would do that? Raise sons that aren't yours? They could be mine, on paper, legally. Make it so the judge can't touch them. The cabin door burst open. Sammy stood there, eyes wide. Pa, say yes. Sammy, adults are talking. Oh, we heard, all of it, and Miss Rose is right. Marry her. Luke appeared behind his brother. He's right, Pa. Danny came last, nodded silently. Boys, you don't understand. Marriage is the answer. Luke's voice was firm. The only answer, Pa, you want to keep us? This is how. Cole looked from his sons to Rose. Back again. This isn't love. Maybe not yet, Rose said quietly, but it could be, given time, given chance. My marriage to Thomas was arranged. Our fathers decided. We learned to love each other. Took months, but it happened. And if it doesn't, if we can't, then we're friends raising boys together. I've seen worse fates. Cole was drowning. The air felt too thin. 6 weeks till the hearing. You're sure? No, but I'm sure we have to try. He looked at his sons, three faces full of hope and fear and desperate need. He looked at Rose, this woman he had known less than 2 days, this stranger who'd saved their lives and was now offering to save them again in a different way. He thought about Judge Thornton's words, about the orphanage, about losing his boys forever. He thought about Sarah's voice in his dreams. You're allowed to be happy again. If I do this, Cole said slowly, if we do this, it means changes, big changes. I might not trail anymore. Have to find local work. Less money. Harder life. Don't care, Luke said. Just want you here. It means a new mother. Not replacing Mama Sarah, but a new mama. Mama Sarah would want us happy, Sammy said. Miss Rose makes us happy. Cole looked at Rose. Really looked. Saw the loneliness there. The hunger for family. The desperate hope barely contained. Saw himself reflected back. I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't either, Rose said. But I am. 6 weeks to make a marriage look real. 6 weeks to make it be real. They stared at each other across 3 feet of snow-covered ground. 2 drifters, 2 broken people, 2 souls trying to survive in a world that hadn't been kind to either of them. All right, Cole said. All right, we'll try. The boys erupted in cheers. Rose's eyes filled with tears. She blinked away fast. And Cole wondered if he'd just made the best decision of his life or the worst. Time would tell. The next 6 weeks passed in a blur of desperate preparation. They married on December 26th in a ceremony so quick and quiet it barely qualified as such. Just Reverend Morris and Marshall Prescott as witness, and 5 people trying to believe in something they couldn't quite name. Rose moved her few belongings to Mrs. Henderson's homestead. The old woman had insisted, practically shoving her deed at them. My house, 40 acres. Take it. Live here. I'm moving to my daughters in Cheyenne. We can't accept. You're not accepting. You're earning. $5 a month. When I die, the house is yours. Those boys need a home. This is it. So they had a home. Small, 2 bedrooms, a barn, and $5 a month rent they could barely afford. Cole looked for work, every ranch, every business, every possibility. Nothing. Sorry, Garrett. Winter's dead. Heard about your situation with the judge. Can't risk trouble. Come back in spring. Maybe then. Judge Thornton had blacklisted him. Quietly, effectively. No one would hire the man fighting the judge in court. Rose's medical practice brought in some money. $30, maybe $40 a month. But it wasn't steady. Wasn't enough. Cole counted their savings every night. Watched the number shrink. $27. 23. 19. They were drowning and pretending to be married while strangers in every way that mattered. Cole slept in the barn, couldn't share a bed with a woman he didn't know, didn't love, had married out of desperation. Rose took the small bedroom. The boys shared the other. They were polite, formal, careful not to touch, careful not to get too close. Good morning, Mrs. Garrett. Good morning, Mr. Garrett. Like characters in a play, reciting lines, hoping someone believed the performance. The boys tried. God, they tried. Called Rose Mama Rose when they remembered, held her hand, smiled more than they had in 2 years. But they knew. Children always know. This wasn't real. Not yet. Maybe never. February 5th, 5 days before the hearing, Cole counted the money again. $14. Rent due, $5. Food, $8 minimum. Leaving, $1. He sat at the table, head in his hands, and tried not to break. Cole, Rose's voice soft in the darkness. I'm fine. You're not. And lying about it doesn't help. He looked up. She stood in her nightdress, wrapped in a shawl, looking as lost as he felt. I can't do this. Can't provide. Can't be what they need. Judge was right. I'm just a cowboy with nothing. You're a father who loves his sons. Love doesn't pay for food. No, but it's a start. She sat across from him. We'll figure something out. There's nothing to figure out. No work, no money, no future. We lose the hearing. Boys go to Casper. And this whole thing, this marriage, this pretending, it's all for nothing. Then we make it not for nothing. How? I don't know yet, but giving up now means Judge wins, means boys lose, and I won't accept that. Will you? Cole wanted to say yes, wanted to surrender, let someone else carry the weight for once. But he looked at Rose, this woman who'd given up her solitude, her peace, her entire life for three boys she barely knew, who asked for nothing in return except the chance to not be alone. No, I won't give up. Good. Then we fight. Together. Together, he echoed. That night, for the first time, they talked, really talked, about Sarah, about Thomas, about dreams deferred and hopes abandoned, about what it meant to survive when surviving was all you had left. And somewhere in those dark hours before dawn, something shifted. The strangers started becoming something else. Not lovers, not yet, but not strangers anymore either. Partners, maybe, in this impossible thing they were trying to build. February 6th, 4 days before the hearing. Cole woke to voices, angry voices. He stumbled from the barn to find Luke pacing the yard, face red with more than cold. What happened? Pa needs to leave. Cole's stomach dropped. What? If Pa stays, we lose. If Pa leaves, maybe we have a chance. Luke, what are you? The judge is right. Luke's voice cracked. Pa can't provide, can't keep us fed, can't keep a roof over our heads. So maybe we are better off in the orphanage. At least there we'd eat. The words hung in the frozen air like an execution order. You don't mean that. Don't I? Danny's coat doesn't fit. Sammy's got that cough again. We're eating beans and cornbread every meal because that's all we can afford. And Pa's trying. I see that, but trying isn't enough. It's not. Cole had no answer because Luke was right. Trying wasn't enough. Love wasn't enough. Good intentions didn't fill stomachs or pay rent or keep judges from taking children. Then what do you want me to do? I don't know, Luke shouted. I don't know, Pa. I just know this isn't working. Nothing's working, and I'm scared. I'm so scared they're going to take us and we'll never see you again. And it'll be worse than when Mama died because at least then we had each other. But now, Cole grabbed his son, pulled him close. Let the boy break. Let him cry. Let him be 11 years old and terrified instead of trying to be the man of the house. Rose appeared in the doorway. She took one look at them and went back inside, came out with coats. All of you in the house, now. They obeyed because her voice left no room for argument. Inside, she sat them all down. Cole, Luke, Danny, Sammy, listen to me, all of you. We have 4 days to figure this out. And we will figure it out. But not by fighting each other, not by giving up, by working together. There's nothing to work with, Cole said, voice dead. Then we make something from nothing. It's what women have been doing since the dawn of time, and it's what this family is going to do now. How? Rose looked at each of them in turn. I don't know yet, but I know this. Judge Thornton wants to see a stable family, a functioning household. So that's what we give him, starting now. What do you mean? I mean we stop pretending this marriage is fake. Starting this moment, it's real. We live like a family, act like a family, be a family, and maybe, if we do it long enough, it won't be pretending anymore. She looked at Cole. You move into the house, tonight. We share a room like married people do. I don't care if we just sleep, but we do it like a real married couple. Rose, I'm not done, boys. You call me Mama Rose always. Not Miss Rose, not ma'am. Mama Rose, because that's what I am now, your mother. Not replacing Sarah and adding to her, you understand? 3 heads nodded. Cole, you work here, on this land. Make it productive. I don't care what you do. Garden planting, fence mending, horse training. But you work here. where people can see, where the judge can see. You're not a drifting cowboy anymore. You're a husband and father building a home. And the money? We have enough for 2 more weeks. In 2 weeks, we face the judge. We show him a real family, working together, surviving together, and we pray it's enough. She stood. Now we have work to do. Cole, there's a fence down on the east side. Fix it. Luke, you help. Danny, Sammy, you're with me. We're reorganizing this house top to bottom, making it look like a home, not a way station. She paused at the door, looked back at Cole. This is going to work. It has to, because the alternative is unacceptable. Understood? Cole found himself nodding, found himself believing her. Just a little. Understood. They worked. All of them. Sunrise to sunset and beyond. Fixing, cleaning, organizing, transforming. And slowly, impossibly, the house started to feel like a home. February 8th, 2 days before the hearing. The storm hit without warning. Temperature dropped 40 degrees in an hour. Wind howled at 60 miles per. Snow fell so thick you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. "Everyone inside!" Cole shouted. "Now!" Rose grabbed Sammy. Luke got Danny. They stumbled through the door as the world went white behind them. "The chickens," Rose said. "They'll freeze." "Leave them, people first." "But we need those eggs, need that food. Without them," she didn't have to finish. Without chickens, they had nothing. Cole looked at Luke, his oldest son, nearly 13, old enough. "Luke, with me. Danny, Sammy, stay with Mama Rose. Bar the door from inside." "Pa called you Mama Rose," Sammy said, wonder in his voice. "I did, because that's who she is." Cole grabbed rope from the peg. "Luke, rope around your waist. I hold the other end. No matter what, don't let go." They ventured into white death. The chicken coop was 50 yards from the house. Might as well have been 50 miles. Visibility was zero. Cold, burned, exposed skin. Wind tried to tear them apart. Luke slipped on ice, went down hard. The rope went taut. Cole hauled him up. "Can't lose you," Cole shouted. "Hold on." "I got you, Pa. I won't let go." They reached the coop, 6 terrified birds. Cole and Luke stuffed them inside their coats, warm bodies against frozen skin. The chickens squawked and struggled, but stayed put. Getting back was worse. Wind had shifted. Cole couldn't find the house. The rope was their only guide, stretched taut to where Rose held the other end inside. They followed it home, stumbled through the door, collapsed in a heap of snow and feathers, and relief. Rose slammed the door behind them. She was crying, hitting Cole's chest with both fists. "You idiots, you could have died. Over chickens." "But we didn't," Cole said, grinning despite everything. "Got the chickens." "I don't care about chickens." "You said we needed them." "I need you alive." The words burst out of her, raw, honest, terrifying, silence. Rose realized what she'd said. "Step back. I mean, the boys need—" "No," Cole stood, brushed snow off his coat. "You meant you, and I understand, because I need you alive too." They stared at each other. The boys watched, eyes wide. "This isn't fake anymore, is it?" Luke asked quietly. "No," Rose said, not looking away from Cole. "I don't think it is." That night, after the boys were asleep, after the storm had finally calmed to a manageable howl, Cole moved his things into Rose's room. They lay in the darkness, careful not to touch, hyper-aware of each other. "Cole?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for the chickens, for risking yourself, for staying." "Where else would I go?" "Lots of places, easier places. Places without broken women and hungry boys and judges trying to take everything." "Maybe I'm done with easy." He felt her turn toward him in the dark. "What do you want, Cole? If you could have anything?" "Right now, I want to keep my sons, want to give them a home, want to stop feeling like I'm failing every single day." "And after? When the hearing's done?" "I don't know. Haven't thought that far ahead in 26 months. Think now, what do you want?" Cole closed his eyes, let himself imagine. "I want mornings that don't start with panic. Want boys who smile without flinching. Want to build something that lasts. Want to—" He stopped. Want to what? Want to not be alone anymore. Rose's hand found his in the darkness, squeezed gently. Me too. They fell asleep like that, holding hands like children, afraid of the dark. Not passionate, not romantic. Just two people choosing not to be alone for one more night. It was enough. It had to be enough. Because tomorrow they'd face the judge. And after that, either they'd be a family for real or they'd be strangers again, divided by a court order and the cruel mathematics of a system that didn't care about love or effort or trying. Tomorrow would decide everything. But tonight they had this room, this bed, this hand in the darkness. Tonight they were not alone, and maybe that was the beginning of something real after all. February 10th, 1884, the day everything would be decided. Cole woke before dawn, Rose's hand still clasped in his. She slept peacefully, face relaxed in a way he'd never seen while she was awake. For a moment he let himself pretend this was real. Pretend they were a normal couple facing a normal day. Pretend the next few hours wouldn't determine whether he kept his sons or lost them forever. Then Rose's eyes opened. Reality flooded back. It's today, she said. Yeah. How are you feeling? Like I might throw up. That makes two of us. They lay there for another moment, neither wanting to move, to start the day, to face what was coming. A soft knock on the door. Luke's voice. Wait, Mama Rose, it's time. Cole squeezed Rose's hand once more, then let go. We're up. The whole family moved like soldiers preparing for battle, washing, dressing in their best clothes, which weren't much, Cole's one decent shirt, mended 3 times, Rose's simple dress, the blue one she'd been married in, the boys in clothes that almost fit, thanks to Rose's frantic sewing over the past weeks. Breakfast was quiet, nobody hungry but everyone eating because Rose insisted. You don't face a judge on an empty stomach. Cowboys knew that. Mothers knew it better. The ride to town took an hour. The courthouse loomed ahead, small but imposing in the way all buildings of justice are. People milled outside despite the cold. Word had spread. The whole territory wanted to see what would happen to the drifting cowboy who'd married a widow to keep his sons. Cole helped Rose down from the wagon. Her hand trembled in his. We can do this, she whispered. We have to. Inside, the courtroom smelled of old wood and older judgments. Pews filled with curious neighbors, some sympathetic, most just there for the show. Mrs. Henderson sat in front, wrapped in blankets, coughing but determined. And at the bench, Judge Ezekiel Thornton, 62 years of territorial authority, looking down at them with eyes that had seen everything and believed in very little. Court is in session. His gavel fell like a gunshot. Matter of custody, Lucas, Daniel, and Samuel Garrett. Petitioner myself acting as concerned citizen. Respondent, Cole Garrett, natural father. Cole stood, Rose beside him, the boys in the front row trying to be brave. Mr. Garrett, Thornton's voice carried across the silent room. You understand what's at stake here? Yes, Your Honor, my sons. Indeed, the court has reviewed the petition. Your history of absence, 8 months yearly on cattle drives while your children lived with an unrelated elderly woman. Insufficient income, unstable lifestyle, and now a marriage of remarkable convenience performed 1 week after learning of this custody hearing. He paused. Let that sink in. However, the court must also consider recent changes. Your marriage to Dr. Morrison, now Mrs. Garrett, your establishment of a household, your apparent attempt to provide stability. Thornton looked at Rose. Dr. Garrett, you married this man after knowing him how long? Rose stood. 2 days, Your Honor. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. 2 days, and you expect this court to believe such a marriage is genuine? I expect this court to understand that love doesn't follow a schedule. My first marriage was arranged by my father. I met Thomas the day we wed. We learned to love each other over time. Cole and I are doing the same. Are you, or are you simply providing a convenient solution to Mr. Garrett's legal problems? If I were providing a convenient solution, Your Honor, I'd have charged him for it. I'm a doctor. I know my value. Instead, I married him because 3 boys needed a mother and I needed a family. Yes, the timing was convenient. Life is rarely that kind, but the choice was real. Thornton's expression didn't change. The petitioner calls his first witness, Mrs. Sarah Henderson. The old woman struggled to her feet. Marshal Prescott helped her to the witness chair. Mrs. Henderson, you cared for the Garrett boys for how long? 26 months, Your Honor, since their mother passed. And in that time, how often was Mr. Garrett present? 4 months out of every year. He'd come back from the trail drives, stay through winter if work allowed, then leave come spring. So the boys spent 2/3 of their life without their father? He was working, Your Honor. A man has to work. Indeed, and during his absences, were the boys adequately cared for? Mrs. Henderson's voice wavered. I did my best, but I'm old, sick. 3 growing boys need more than I could give. They were hungry more than they should have been, cold more than was right. I love them, but love don't fill bellies or buy coats. Cole felt each word like a physical blow. The truth laid bare. He'd failed them all. And yet you support Mr. Garrett keeping custody? Because he's their father, and because now he has Rose. Dr. Garrett, I mean. She's good for them, good for him. They're becoming a real family. I can see it. In 6 weeks? You can see a real family forming in 6 weeks? Your Honor, I have lived 65 years, seen a lot of families. Some take years to become real. Some never do. These 5 people, they're trying. That counts for something. Thornton dismissed her, called the next witness. Cole's stomach sank. It was one of the ranch owners he'd begged for work, the one who'd turned him away. Mr. Patterson, you refused to hire Mr. Garrett, correct? Yes, Your Honor. Why? Heard about the custody situation, didn't want trouble. Judge Thornton's a powerful man in these parts. Didn't seem wise to go against him. So you would have hired Mr. Garrett otherwise? Patterson hesitated. Maybe. He's got a good reputation as a cowhand. But reputations don't mean much when a man's fighting the law. Thank you. That will be all. The message was clear. Thornton had made Cole unhireable. Guaranteed he'd fail. Stacked the deck completely. The petitioner calls Lucas Garrett. Luke stood, face pale but determined. He walked to the witness stand like a man walking to a gallows. Lucas, you're 12 years old? Yes, sir. Old enough to understand what's happening here? Yes, sir. Tell the court, in your own words, has your father been a good father? The courtroom held its breath. Luke looked at Cole. Something passed between them. Years of hurt, months of anger, and underneath it all, love. Stubborn, painful, impossible love. No, he hasn't. Cole felt the floor drop away. Pa left. All the time. When Mama died, he wasn't there. We buried her without him. I had to be the man of the house at 10 years old. Had to take care of Danny and Sammy when I was just a kid myself. Had to watch them go hungry because we didn't have enough. Had to tell them Pa would come back when I wasn't sure I believed it myself. Thornton nodded, satisfied. So you agree the orphanage would be better? No, I don't. The judge's eyebrows rose. Explain. Because Pa's changing. Not changed, changing. There's a difference. He's trying to be better. Staying home, working the land, being present. It's not perfect. We're still poor, still struggling, but he's here. That's what matters. He's here. Luke's voice grew stronger. And Mama Rose, she's not replacing our mama. She's giving us something we lost, a home, a family, someone who sees us and cares about us and wants us, not because she has to, but because she chooses to. Every day she chooses us. That's what family is, isn't it? Choosing each other? The orphanage would provide food, shelter, education, Thornton said. The orphanage would separate us, Danny, Sammy, and me. We'd be in different groups by age, different rooms, different lives. I've asked around. Orphanages don't keep siblings together. They can't. Too many kids, not enough space. He looked at his brothers. I'd rather be hungry with them than fed without them. I'd rather have Pa trying and failing than no Pa at all. I'd rather have Mama Rose who's learning to be a mother than strangers who don't know us and never will. Luke turned to Thornton. Your Honor, I know Pa's not perfect, but he's ours, and we're his. And now Mama Rose is ours too. We're a family, messy and poor and struggling, but real. Please don't take that away from us. The courtroom was silent. Several people were crying openly. Thornton's expression was unreadable. You may step down. Luke returned to his seat. Danny grabbed his hand. Sammy buried his face in Luke's shoulder. Does the respondent wish to call witnesses? Marshal Prescott stood. He'd agreed to speak for Cole. Your Honor, I've known Cole Garrett 15 years. He's not perfect, but he's honest, hardworking, loves those boys more than his own life. The marriage to Dr. Garrett may have been fast, but I've watched them these past weeks. Watched them become partners. Watched them build something real out of necessity. Sometimes the best things start from the worst circumstances. Reverend Morrison spoke next. I married them, saw the way they looked at each other, not with passion, but with understanding. Two wounded people finding shelter in each other. That's as holy as any love story I've witnessed. Mrs. Abigail Hartford, the matriarch of Bitter Creek Society, stood without being called. Judge Thornton, you want to know if this is a real marriage? I've been watching. Watching Rose shop for the family, not just herself. Watching Cole work that land dawn to dusk. Watching those boys smile for the first time in 2 years. Real isn't about how long you've known someone. Real is about what you do with the time you have. And these people are doing the work. Even Chief White Eagle appeared, though Cole hadn't asked him. The Shoshone leader spoke briefly but powerfully. Stone Garrett saved my grandson's life 5 winters ago. He is man of honor. His new wife has healing hands. Their sons will grow strong in their care. This I know. When the last witness finished, Thornton called for a recess. 10 minutes to deliberate. It felt like 10 years. Cole stood outside, unable to sit, unable to breathe properly. Rose came up beside him. Whatever happens, she said, you fought. You were here, you tried. That matters. What if it's not enough? Then we appeal. We fight harder. We don't stop until we win. Rose, if we lose, they go to Casper. We'll never see them again. We're not losing. You don't know that. I know we gave it everything. That has to count for something. The bailiff called them back in. Time was up. Thornton sat at his bench, papers spread before him. His face revealed nothing. This court has heard testimony from both sides. The facts are these. Mr. Garrett's history as a father is concerning. Long absences, insufficient income, reliance on charity. The marriage to Dr. Garrett, while legal, appears suspiciously timed. Cole felt his heart sink. However, that single word changed everything. However, the court must also acknowledge recent efforts. Mr. Garrett has ceased traveling for work, has established a household with his new wife. The boys are clearly fed, clothed, and cared for, even if modestly. Dr. Garrett brings medical expertise and income to the family. Most importantly, Lucas Garrett's testimony demonstrates these children wish to remain with their father. At 12, his opinion carries weight. Thornton paused. The entire courtroom leaned forward. Therefore, custody will remain with Cole Garrett. Cole's knees nearly buckled. Rose grabbed his arm. The boys erupted in muffled cheers. However, Thornton's voice cut through the celebration. This is conditional. For the next 6 months, monthly check-ins with Marshal Prescott. The boys must attend school. Dr. Garrett will provide that education at home, following territorial curriculum. Financial stability must improve. If Mr. Garrett returns to trail driving without his family, custody will be immediately revisited. If any of these conditions are not met, the boys will be removed. Is that understood? Yes, Your Honor. Cole's voice shook. Thank you, Your Honor. Don't thank me yet. You haven't won. You've been given 6 months to prove you can do this. I suggest you use them wisely. The gavel fell. It was over. They'd won. Conditionally, barely, but they'd won. Outside the courthouse, people congratulated them. Some genuine, some grudging. Cole barely heard them. His sons surrounded him, all 3 talking at once, crying, laughing, holding on like they'd never let go. Rose stood apart, giving them space. But Sammy broke away, ran to her, pulled her into the family circle. You're part of this too, Mama Rose. You saved us. We saved each other, she said. Judge Thornton emerged from the courthouse. People scattered, not wanting to be near him after his defeat, but he walked straight to Cole. "Mr. Garrett, Judge, you won, fair and square, but understand, I'll be watching." "I know." Thornton hesitated. His stern expression cracked slightly. "I hope you succeed, truly, because if these boys are better off with you, then I was wrong, and I'd rather be wrong and see children happy than right and see them suffer." Cole studied the judge, saw something he hadn't before. Not cruelty, not power hunger, just an old man carrying his own ghosts. "Why did you really do this? Push for custody?" Thornton looked away. "My grandson came to live with me when he was 12. His father, Benjamin, was a cowboy, like you. Drifted. Left the boy's mother struggling. By the time my grandson came to me, it was too late. Malnutrition, neglect. He died in my house, and I couldn't save him. Understanding dawned. You thought I was him, Benjamin's father. I thought history was repeating. Thought I could prevent it this time. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe not all cowboys are the same. Maybe some can choose to stay." Cole extended his hand. "I'm sorry about your son." Thornton shook it. "Make sure I'm never sorry about this decision." "I will. I promise." The judge nodded and walked away, a little less stern, a little more human. Rose came up beside Cole. "What was that about?" "Redemption, for both of us." They loaded into the wagon and headed home. Home. The word felt different now. Real. Solid. Not just a place they were pretending belonged to them. Spring came slowly, then all at once. Snow melted. Green appeared. And with the warming weather, the first trail drive offers arrived. A ranch foreman rode up in early April. "Cole Garrett, got a drive starting next week. Montana to Texas, 6 months, $50 a month. Need an experienced hand. You interested?" $300, more money than Cole had seen in years. Enough to pay off debts, buy proper clothes for the boys, fix up the house, maybe even save a little. He looked at the house. Rose was in the garden, teaching Danny about spring planting. Luke was in the barn with the horse Cole was training. Sammy was supposed to be gathering eggs, but was instead lying in the grass watching clouds. His family. Messy, imperfect, real. "No," Cole said, "I'm not interested." "You sure $300 is nothing to sneeze at?" "I'm sure, got work here that matters more." The foreman shrugged and rode off. Cole walked to the garden, squatted beside Rose. "Was that a trail drive offer?" "Yeah." "What did you say?" "I said no." Rose's hands stilled in the dirt. $300 probably. "Probably. And you said no." "I did." She turned to look at him. "Why?" "Because I made a promise. To you, to them, to myself. I'm not that cowboy anymore. I'm a father who stays." Rose's eyes filled with tears. "Cole Garrett, I think I might be falling in love with you." "Might be." Am falling in love with you. Present tense. Ongoing action." "Well," he grinned, "good, because I'm already there." They kissed, right there in the dirt, with Danny watching and probably judging their gardening technique. It was awkward and muddy and perfect. Over the next months, the family found its rhythm. Cole trained horses. Turned out he had a gift for it. Word spread. 2 horses a month at $40 each. Not cattle drive money, but steady. Rose's practice grew. The whole territory knew her now. Doc Rose, who'd married the drifting cowboy and made him settle, 8 patients a week at $5 each, sometimes more. Together, they made $100 to $150 a month. Not rich, but surviving, actually surviving. The boys thrived. Luke helped with the horses, learned the trade, showed real talent. Danny carved beautiful things, sold them in town. Sammy just existed as his cheerful self, making everyone smile. They were happy, actually genuinely happy. In late May, Rose realized her courses were late, then later, then not coming at all. She sat on the bed, hands shaking, unable to believe it. The doctors had said impossible. After the accident in '76, after the damage, they'd said her body couldn't carry a child. But something was different. Something was changing. She told Cole that night after the boys were asleep. "I'm pregnant." He froze, completely stopped moving. "What?" "Pregnant. I know the doctor said I couldn't, but I've been feeling sick in the mornings and my body is changing, and I examined myself and Cole. I'm pregnant. His face went through 5 emotions at once. Joy, terror, hope, fear, more terror. Sarah died, he whispered. The baby died. I can't go through that again. I know, but Cole, I'm a doctor. I know the risks. I know the signs. I'll monitor everything. At the first problem, we go to Cheyenne Hospital. I won't take chances. What if it's not enough? Then we face it together, but Cole, this is happening. We can be scared together or you can panic alone. Which is it? Luke's voice from the doorway. Mama Rose is pregnant? They both jumped. All 3 boys stood there, clearly having listened. How long have you been there? Rose demanded. Long enough. Luke came into the room. Mama Rose will be okay. She's too smart to let anything bad happen. Right? I'll do everything I can, Rose said. I promise. Danny approached shyly. Will it be a brother or sister? We won't know for months. Can we help? Take care of you? You already do, every day. Sammy climbed onto the bed, put his hand on Rose's still flat stomach. Hi, baby. I'm your big brother, Sammy. You're gonna love it here. We got a real good family. Cole watched his sons cluster around Rose, watched them transform from scared orphans to protective brothers in an instant, watched Rose glow with something he'd never seen in her before. Hope. Pure, undiluted hope. Okay, he said. Okay, we do this, together. The pregnancy progressed. Rose monitored herself obsessively. Blood pressure, weight, any sign of complications. Cole hovered like a nervous hawk. The boys treated her like she was made of glass. I'm pregnant, not dying, she kept saying. But secretly, she loved it. Loved being cared for. Protected. Wanted. Judge Thornton made his monthly visits. Each time he found the family more established, more real. The suspicion faded from his eyes, replaced by something like approval. In July, when Rose was visibly showing, he actually smiled. Congratulations, Mrs. Garrett. This is good news. You approve? Cole asked, surprised. I approve of people building lives. That's what you're doing. He paused. I was wrong about you. I can admit that. You were trying to protect children. Nothing wrong about that. Thornton nodded. Still, I'm glad this worked out. These boys needed you. You needed them. And Dr. Garrett needed all of you. He stood to leave. I'll make my final report to the territorial office. Custody conditions met. You are free to raise your sons without court interference. After he left, Rose said, that man's heart is bigger than he lets on. Grief makes people hard, Cole replied. Love softens them again. September arrived with the first hints of autumn. Rose's belly had grown large. She moved carefully, breathing harder, but insisted on working, treating patients, teaching the boys, preparing for the baby. Cole built a cradle, used cedar that smelled sweet and clean, carved simple patterns into the wood. Not fancy, but made with love. Chief White Eagle visited, brought a traditional Shoshone cradle as well. For the child who bridges worlds, he said, your blood and hers, cowboy and doctor, choose whichever cradle suits. Both are blessed. The labor started on September 15th. Rose woke Cole at midnight. It's time. Now, are you sure? Cole, I'm a doctor, I'm sure. He scrambled up, started panicking. Should I get help? Ride for the doctor in town? You're going to deliver this baby. What? No, absolutely not. I deliver calves, not humans. Same principle, just higher stakes. And I'll tell you exactly what to do. The labor lasted 12 hours. Rose stayed remarkably calm, walking Cole through each stage, checking dilation, timing contractions, breathing techniques. But at hour 10, complications appeared. The baby's breech, Rose said, voice tight with pain and fear. Wrong position. Won't come out this way. What do we do? You turn it internally. I'll tell you how. Rose, I can't. You can. You have to. There's no time for anything else. The boys waited outside the bedroom door. Cole could hear them moving around, nervous, scared. Luke, Cole called. Come in here. The boy appeared, face pale. Pa? I need your help. Get clean towels, hot water, And Luke, you're going to assist. Me? You're steady, smart. I need you. Luke moved, brought supplies, watched as Cole, following Rose's instructions, turned the baby into the correct position. It was the hardest thing he'd ever done. More terrifying than any stampede, any river crossing, any storm. Rose pushed, screamed, pushed again, and then, incredibly, miraculously, a baby girl slid into Cole's hands. She was purple, wasn't breathing. Cole's heart stopped. Suction her mouth, Rose gasped. Clear the airways, now. Cole did. It's the bulb Rose had prepared. Cleared mucus and fluid. The baby gasped, coughed, then wailed, that beautiful, angry sound of life beginning. She's okay, Luke breathed. Pa, she's okay. Rose held out her arms. Cole placed the baby on her chest, this tiny, perfect person they'd made. Sarah, Rose said. We'll call her Sarah Rose, after both mothers. Cole couldn't speak, could only nod and cry and hold his wife and new daughter while Luke ran to tell his brothers they had a sister. Dr. Merrick arrived an hour later. Cole had finally ridden for him once the immediate danger passed. The doctor examined Rose and the baby, declared both healthy, and laughed. Unnecessary trip. The boy did fine work. You should consider a career in medicine, Luke. Really? Luke's eyes lit up. Really? You've got steady hands and a calm head. That's half of what being a doctor requires. After the doctor left, the family gathered around the bed. Rose, exhausted but radiant. Baby Sarah, sleeping peacefully. Cole and 3 boys looking at her with wonder. She's so small, Danny whispered. You were that small once, Rose said. Will she stay this small? No, she'll grow, like you're growing, like we're all growing. Sammy touched Sarah's tiny hand. Hi, sister. I'm Sammy. I'm going to teach you everything. She has to learn to talk first, Luke said, but he was smiling. They stayed like that for a long time. A family, complete, real, built from broken pieces and desperate choices and the stubborn refusal to give up 1 year later. December 24th, 1885. Exactly 2 years since the first storm. The house had changed. Expanded barn, new chicken coop with 20 birds, a garden that produced enough to sell surplus vegetables, horse training business that brought steady income, Rose's medical practice still thriving, and people. So many people. The Garretts had started a tradition. Christmas Eve open house. Anyone could come, anyone could eat, anyone who needed shelter could stay. It was their way of paying forward what Rose had done for them, lighting a lamp in the window, opening the door, saving lives. That evening the house was full. Neighbors, friends, even Judge Thornton, who'd become a regular visitor, playing grandfather to children who'd never known one. Chief White Eagle and several Shoshone elders sat by the fire, telling stories. Mrs. Hartford held baby Sarah, cooing and making the faces elderly women make at babies everywhere. Cole stood at the window, watching snow begin to fall. Rose came up beside him, slipped her hand into his. What are you thinking? About 2 years ago, that storm, how close we came to dying, how you saved us. We saved each other. Did we? You gave me a family. I gave you a home. Fair trade. Cole pulled her close. Best trade I ever made. A knock at the door. Cole opened it to find a young couple with a baby, half frozen, desperate. Please, the woman said. We saw the light. We need help. Cole didn't hesitate. Come in, get warm. Rose, we need blankets. The family mobilized instantly. Luke helped the man with their horse. Danny started heating soup. Sammy showed the couple where they could sit. Rose checked the baby for frostbite. It was practice now. Efficient. They'd done this a dozen times over the past year. Every time someone needed help, the Garretts were there. After the couple was settled and safe, Thornton approached Cole. You've built something good here. We tried. More than tried. Succeeded. These boys are thriving. Your marriage is solid. Your family grows. You did what I didn't think possible. You stopped drifting. I've found something worth staying for. Thornton nodded. Benjamin would have liked to see this. A cowboy who chose right. I'm glad I was wrong about you. I'm glad you pushed me. Without that hearing, I might never have fought to change. They shook hands, two men who'd been adversaries, now something like friends. Later that night, after everyone had left or settled into guest rooms, after the children were asleep and the house was quiet, Cole and Rose sat by the fire. "Tell me something," Rose said. "Do you ever regret it? Giving up the trail? The freedom?" "Every day." She pulled back, surprised, hurt. "But then I look at this." He gestured around them, and I realized the trail wasn't freedom. It was running. This is freedom, choosing where to be, choosing who to love, choosing to stay when staying is hard. It has been hard. The best things usually are. Rose leaned against him. "Sarah would be proud of you." "I hope so. I think about her sometimes. Wonder what she'd think of all this." "She'd think you finally learned what she tried to teach you. That love doesn't end with death. It multiplies with every heart brave enough to try." "When did you get so wise?" "I married a cowboy who taught me about staying. Learn from the best." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the fire burn low. Outside, snow fell soft and steady. The lamp in the window burned bright. A beacon, a promise, a light for anyone who might need saving. Inside, a family slept. Not perfect, not wealthy, but together. Real. Built from nothing but determination and love, and the refusal to accept that broken things can't be made whole. 20 years later, December 1903, Cole Garriott, at 54, looked like a man who'd lived hard but well. Gray streaked his beard, lines creased his face. But his eyes were clear, his back straight. He was breaking a horse in the corral when the telegram came. Luke, now 32, brought it out. "Pa, from Danny." Cole stopped, read it, his face crumpled. Rose came running from the house. "What is it?" "Danny's publishing a book about us, about the family. He's dedicating it to me and you." He handed her the telegram. She read, tears streaming. Danny had become a successful writer. His stories about frontier life, about families built from scraps, about cowboys who learned to stay, had made him moderately famous. And now a whole book. "The Drifter Who Stayed," Rose read. That's the title. He always did have a way with words. Luke smiled. "Should we go to the release party in Denver?" "All of us," Rose said. "The whole family." The whole family was big now. Luke and his wife, both doctors, their 3 children, Danny and his artist wife in Denver, their 2 children, Sammy, now foreman of a large ranch, his wife and 4 children, and Sarah Rose, 23, a teacher, engaged to be married next spring, plus Cole and Rose. Still together, still in love, still lighting a lamp in the window every Christmas Eve. They made the trip to Denver, the whole extended family, loud and chaotic and wonderful. At the book party, Danny stood up to speak. "This book is about my father, a cowboy who didn't think he could change, who didn't think he deserved a second chance, who met a woman as broken as he was, and together they built something impossible." He looked at Cole and Rose sitting in the front row holding hands. "Pa, you taught me that the bravest thing a man can do isn't facing danger. It's facing himself, facing his failures, and choosing to be better. You did that. You showed me how. And Mama Rose, you taught me that family isn't just blood. It's choice. You chose us. Every single day, you chose us. And that made all the difference." He raised his glass. "To the cowboy who learned to stay, and the woman who taught him how." The room erupted in applause. Cole stood, pulled Rose up with him, held her close. "We did good, didn't we?" he whispered. "We did real good." 1943, Wyoming Ranch, December evening. Old Sammy Garrett finished his story. The young cowboy across from him sat stunned, processing everything he'd heard. "So it's true," the boy said. "Cowboys can settle, can have families. Some do, some don't. Neither is wrong. But if you choose to settle, you commit. Don't half do it. Be present. Be a father. Be a husband. Be home." "Your pa, he never regretted giving up the trail?" "Oh, he regretted it, lots of days. The pull of the open range never fully leaves. But he told me once, the day before he died, he said, 'Sammy, drifting is easy. Staying is brave.' I'm glad I chose brave." Sammy stood, walked to the window. lit the lamp like he'd done every Christmas Eve for 60 years. Pa died in 1918, 69 years old. Horse kicked him in the barn he built. Mama Rose lived till 1927, 80 years old, passed in her sleep in the house they made together. They're buried up on the hill, next to Mama Sarah. 3 stones, Pa wanted it that way. Said both his wives saved him in different ways. Both deserve to be remembered together. The young cowboy joined him at the window. Snow was starting to fall. What happened to the lamp tradition? Still going. Every Garrett household lights a lamp on Christmas Eve. 60 years now. Someone might need it, might need saving, like we needed saving that night. That's beautiful. That's legacy. Not money, not land. The choice to help, the choice to stay, the choice to love, even when it's hard. A knock at the door. Both men turned. Sammy opened it to find a family. Young father, pregnant wife, 2 small children, all half frozen. Please, the father said, we saw your light. Sammy didn't hesitate. Come in, get warm. Let's get you folks settled. He looked back at the young cowboy. See, the light still works. As the family came inside, as blankets were distributed and soup was heated and the children started to warm up, Sammy thought about his father, about Rose, about that night 60 years ago when everything changed, about the cowboy who learned to stay. And he smiled, because the story wasn't over. It never was. Every generation had its storms, its lost travelers, its people who needed saving. And every generation had its lights and windows, its open doors, its families who remembered what it meant to help. That was the real legacy, not the staying or the drifting, but the choice to be there when someone needed you, the choice to light a lamp in the darkness and wait. Someone would always need it. Someone would always find their way home, and the light would always be burning. Always. The young cowboy helped settle the family, following Sammy's lead. Later, as they sat by the fire again, the rescued family warm and safe, he asked one more question. Mr. Garrett, what would you say to someone trying to decide between the trail and home? Sammy thought for a long moment. I'd say there's no wrong answer. Some men are meant to drift. That's in their blood. They do good work, important work, moving cattle, connecting places, keeping the world running. Nothing shameful in that. But if you find something worth staying for, something that makes the staying feel like freedom instead of a cage, then you stay. You fight for it. You work at it every single day, because that's rarer than any trail drive. That's the real adventure. Pa used to say the hardest ride he ever made wasn't through a stampede or across a flooding river. It was the ride from the barn to the house every morning, choosing to be there, choosing to be present. That took more courage than anything else he ever did. The young cowboy nodded slowly. I think I understand. Good. Now help me with these dishes. Even old cowboys have chores. They worked in comfortable silence. Outside, the snow fell heavier now. But inside, the lamp burned bright, a beacon for anyone lost in the storm. A promise that help was waiting, a light that had been burning for 60 years and would burn for 60 more, because that's what the Garretts did. They lit lamps. They opened doors. They saved lives, and they remembered, always remembered. The cowboy who learned to stay, the woman who taught him how, and the family they built from nothing but love and stubborn hope and the refusal to believe that broken things couldn't be made whole. That was the story. That was the legacy. That was the light in the window. And it would never go out. Never.